All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So the Jets beat the Denver Broncos yesterday, advancing to 2-3 on the season. And man, it feels so good to be one game below 500, as opposed to what could have happened if we would have lost, where the Jets would have been 1-4 with the Eagles next week, right? And that's never really a place that you want to be. But we're 2-3 right now. And we have to ask the question, was yesterday a perfect game? Were we just firing on all cylinders? Were the Jets in complete control from start to finish? No, they weren't. This game was a sloppy win. And in fact, I actually wanted to quote Only Rags. I thought he had a great comment in yesterday's recap video where he said that he's not going to let great become the enemy of good. He says that, we won. As far as the slow starts, Hack is expanding the playbook for Zach Wilson. It's not a well-oiled machine yet because it shouldn't be. Let things finish cooking before calling it done. I thought that was a great take, right? Super optimistic, but also realistic as well. Again, the Jets had multiple things going wrong in this game. Some stuff that we've seen pop up from week to week. Some stuff that I would be lying if I said I wasn't concerned about. And we're going to get into it in definitely a future video, specifically when talking about the coaching staff. But as far as this game is concerned, I really want to highlight the positives. First off, before we really dive into the game, I think one big positive was the news that we got this morning from Ian Rappaport, although it's not 100% confirmed yet, and we're still waiting on that confirmation. It's looking like AVT, yes, he's going to miss some time, but it's going to be a calf as opposed to an Achilles. Again, we're not fully out of the woods. Hopefully, we get some good news later on today at some point after the MRI. But as far as what Rappaport and what the indications are pointing to right now, we are trending in a good direction. So really the first thing that I want to talk about here is the fact that this Jets offense, led by Nathaniel Hackett, Zach Wilson, and Breece Hall, recorded over 400 yards. 400 offensive yards. I believe it was 407 to be exact against this Denver Broncos defense. But if we just look at the facts, right, 400 plus yards. We're down multiple starters. We're getting injuries mid-game on the offensive line. We're playing in Denver, a tough place to play. They're coming off their first win, of their season. I was totally fired up when I saw that number, right? I felt like the Jets did a really good job of holding the football, right? Time of possession. This is like another positive in and of itself. But, going into the game, going into the day, the Jets were the last team in the NFL in offensive time of possession. And we held the football for over 34 minutes yesterday. We won time of possession by, I want to say, like 9 minutes. That is huge. And I think ultimately that is one of the biggest reasons why this Jets offense was able to move up and down the field on this Bronco defense. Again, was it perfect? No. Red zone, horrible. Third down efficiency, horrible. But again, in this one, I wanted to really focus in on the positives here. Time of possession, offensive yards were constantly being racked up. And we look at Zach Wilson's stats on the day. He was 19 of 26, 199 passing yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. And if we focus in on the completion percentage, right, 19 of 26, Zach was super efficient, right? He was getting the football out of his hands. He was completing a lot of passes here. Granted, there were a bunch of short little passes, just, dump off, screen, stuff like that. But there's been times, specifically last season, where I would hop on the recap video, and I can only speak for myself, but it was like, man, I felt like Zach was just airmailing screens. He was just sailing the ball right over pass catchers' heads, or the pass would not even get to the target. It would be bouncing literally on the turf before, and we're talking about a screen pass here. So I'm going to take this, right? I think Zach was efficient enough to win the game. If we're talking 19 of 26, that's good enough for Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Pat Mahomes. That's an efficient number. 26 times you essentially drop back and you're completing 19 of those. Sign me up for that. I really love that number. I think that number alone is encouraging. I'm happy that he was able to put the ball in play. Although he didn't throw for whatever it was, 350 or some crazy number like that. he did enough, in my opinion, to really manage and be the point guard. And then, of course, we have to talk about Breece Hall, who had 177 yards on the ground. Absolutely insane. He looks explosive. He has a ton of pop. Not only in the running game, too, he was also helping in the passing game. He had 3 catches as well. Breece is just on another level. I talked about talked about it in the recap video. He is literally one of the best backs in the National Football League, and it just gets you fired. It gets you pumped up to think about, man, this guy's here. He's on the roster. He's on a rookie contract. We can just do so much with him. And of course, I'm not saying, grind him into the turf. Yes, he's really, really good. Yes, we need to feature him. And I do feel like he needs to be the focal point of the offense. But, we have other guys to step up. We have other young talent on this offense. But, man, if we did not have Breece Hall in yesterday's game, I don't know if we would have won. I don't know. Right? That long TD run where Breece Hall had, I believe it was in the first drive coming out of halftime. I jumped up. I was going crazy. I'm like, we are back. Now we have the lead. Let's go. And it's because of Breece Hall and also the offensive line too on that play. But man, there's just not enough good things that you can say about number 20 for the New York Jets. It feels so good. So another positive here, which in my opinion was pretty underrated, didn't get talked about enough yesterday, was the special teams performance on all fronts. We can talk about Thomas Morstead having 3 solid punts. We can talk about Irv Charles coming down on that first punt of the game and creating that turnover, setting up within like 20 yards of Denver's end zone. Of course, ideally you would want to get that, the 7 points there, but we walked away with 3, and I will take that, right? It was a free 3 points because of Irv Charles booking it down the field and making a play on the football. Special teams. We can look at Greg Zuerlein going 5 for 5 with a long field goal of 49 yards. When we're talking about a game that ends 31-21, and of course, not factoring in that crazy play at the end from Quincy Williams and all that last touchdown. This was a close one, right? We needed all the points that we could have gotten in this victory, including the safety, including all these extra points and field goals. If Zuerlein was out there 2 for 5, 3 for 5, something like that, it just would not have been good, right? I felt like throughout the game there was that sense of calmness, if you will, right? The game, I believe, was always kept within 1 possession. So no matter what the Jets looked like in the red zone, no matter what they looked like on third downs, no matter the shortcomings, really, the penalties and all these different things, it didn't matter because we were just 1 possession away. We were 1 touchdown away from either taking the lead or whatever it was. And the big reason because of that was special teams, knocking in those field goals, knocking in those extra points, not having, shanked punts and stuff like that. So special teams was absolutely massive. And last but not least, we got to talk about Quincy Williams. The energy that this dude brings every single Sunday. I mean, this is why he's been my favorite player on the defense for years now. Quincy Williams he plays like his hair's on fire. He's always running around like on another gear compared to everybody else. He made the play to essentially ice the game in the end, where he just came around the offensive line like a heat-seeking missile, attacked Russell Wilson. He fumbles. Breece Hall picks it up, takes it to the house. And the second that Quincy Williams got to Russell, he popped up. The ball was out, and you just saw him like going crazy. It was totally awesome, right? As a Jet fan, you're watching that play thinking it's game over. It is game over. We just won, and Quincy sealed it. Quincy Williams sealed it, but it wasn't just that play that stands out, right? He had another great game from top to bottom. I know I'm a biased Jet fan here, and also because Quincy is like my favorite player, I don't want to. I don't want things to kind of get misconstrued or anything like that, but I am 100% on board when I hear Jeff Ulbrich say, Quincy Williams is playing at an all-time level, like an elite level across the landscape of the NFL. I'm right there with Jeff. I am in total agreement with everything that he says about Quincy Williams. He just looks like he's like a man on a mission when he's out there, and it's so much fun to watch. We look at his total numbers for the day. He had 9 tackles. He was second on the team behind CJ Mosley. He also had 2 sacks and 3 quarterback hits, and of course, that final play. I mean, really, from top to bottom, I feel really good about the linebacker play, and it's not just the tackling; it's the ability to drop back in coverage. How are they doing coming up and stuffing the run? Quincy Williams, C.J. Mosley, two guys that I really feel like if we didn't have these performances from these guys, the defense would look a lot different. Now, again, was the day perfect? No, there was not. But in this one, I really wanted, it's coming off a win, understanding that we're 2-3. I really wanted to highlight my personal positives from the game, and I would love to hear yours down below in the comment section. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts, and as always, go Jets.